My wife invited her doctor to our house. In my absence, I've listened to her call her doctor. So I decided to catch them red-handed on opening the door of my bedroom. I bent my knee to see them. Hello, friends. My name is David and I live in Los Angeles today. I will share with you the worst incident of my life. I have such a loving nature, but I face a bad incident which affect on my nature too much. My wife's infidelity changed my life. I still cannot forget her betrayal. It had a profound effect on my personality. I did not belong to a special home. So I grew up in an orphanage. I don't remember who my parents were when I grew up. I was an orphanage when I was 12 years old. A woman adopted me. Her name was Emily. She was a very good woman. She loved me like her own child and loved me like my parents. She had such a kind and friendly nature and I adopt her friendly nature. That's why my nature is based on love. She brought me up with great love and brought me up very well and sent me to good schools and colleges where I got good education. Emily was like my friend. I never called her mom, always called her by name, and she had to like it too. Emily had her own business. When I completed my studies, I started helping her in her business. Then gradually Emily started getting sick and now she started spending most of her time at home. She entrusted all of her business to me. One day I came home from work and saw that Emily's condition was very bad. She had a heart attack and her condition was getting worse day by day. One night, when I came back from work, Emily called me to her place and she said to me that my friend's daughter is Julie. I want you to marry her because if I die now you'll be alone. So marry a good girl so that you'll get support. Till that day, I haven't denied anything from Emila. I've accepted her demand and on her request, I went to meet this girl. She likes Emila, gave me her number. I talked to her and then we decided to meet at a nearby restaurant. The next day when I reached the restaurant, Julie was already sitting there waiting for me. Julie was a good-looking girl. She had a very nice way of talking. She told me about her life and I told her a lot about my life and my loving side of personality, and because of her friendly personality, we will become friends. I liked Julie very much. I came home and Emila asked me about Julie. Did you like her? I told her that she's a very nice girl and I'm ready to marry her. She said to me, do not rush now and then meet her again. Once or twice. If you both have good chemistry, the new guys will be able to live a good life. I took Emily's words seriously. And for 2 days later decided to meet Julie again. I called Julie to ask if we can meet again after 2 days or not. Before I said it, she told me we would meet again. I agreed and we decided to meet at the same restaurant the next day. So when I went to meet Julie, tried to reach the restaurant before her and wait for her. But still, when I went this time, Julie was already sitting in the restaurant waiting for me. She was very punctual and her words made me feel like a decent girl when a girl is nice and decent. And then you fell in love with her. And the same thing happened to me. I fell in love with her. In another meeting. I fell in love with her. In another meeting. I was marrying her only on Emily's request. But when I met her for the second time, I fell in love with her. And now I want to marry her on my own choice. Amelia's condition was deteriorating day by day and she wanted me to get married soon. So without wasting any time, we decided to get married next week. She was very ecstatic about my marriage. Her face were more ecstatic than me and loved her. Like my parents, Emila did all the preparations for my marriage. She ignored her bad health and illness at all and kept preparing for my marriage day and nighttime did not know. And soon my wedding day came. I was very excited. Think about my wedding. All the arrangements were very nice and our wedding will be done with great pomp and ceremony. But during the preparations days for my wedding, Emila did not take care of her health at all and her health became very bad and she died 2 days after my wedding. I was very sad when the accident happened. But at that time, my wife Julie supported me a lot and became my sympathizer. And I realized then Emily's decision of my marriage was very good. If Julie had not been with me at that time, I would have never been able to bear the grief of her death. After Mila, having Julie in my life was a great blessing for me. Her behavior for me was very good with each passing day. My love for her grew in my heart. We fell in love with each other. She loved me as much as I loved her. She cared for me. Julie and I were living a very peaceful life together. She understood me and I understood her. Life was going very well. We had a lovely little daughter, Julie, and I took great care of her. Her coming into our lives made our love for each other even greater than before. And I love my daughter as much as I loved her mother. This happened of life lasted only for 3 years after marriage. And then everything changed. One day Julie's condition became very bad. She was having pain all over her body. At first, I thought it was a general tiredness. So I did not do anything special and gave her painkillers to relieve her pain. That night passed. But the next day, the pain started again. So I took her to the hospital. The doctor did a very thorough examination of Julie and gave her good medicine. I returned home after taking Julie and her body pain was much better. But the same pain started again. The next day, I took Julie to the same doctor and he again examined her very well and gave her medicine again. But he also advised, don't do any work for a week so that she can recover quickly. I began to take care of Julie more than before and did not let her do any work. I loved her because she was my wife and I wanted her to get well soon. After 2 or 3 days of complete rest, Julie's health will be very good now and then she will gradually start doing household chores. But it was only a week later that her body pains started again. I picked up and was taking her to another doctor. As soon as Julie realized I was going the other way, she asked me about previous doctor. We're going for a checkup. This is not the way of this hospital. Then why are you going to the other site? So I said to Julie, how can we go to the same doctor at this time? Because your health is not getting fully recovered. We should change your doctor. Maybe you'll get well after listening to this. Julie got worried and kept quiet for some time. Then she told me that no, I have to go to my previous doctor. He does a very good examination and I'm sure I'll be fine with his medicine. I refused at first. Then Julie insisted me to go to the same doctor. So I agreed and changed the route and took her to the previous doctor. But at this time, I dropped Julie at the hospital and went to my work because it was very important for me to go. Julie also said to me that it's okay, drop me at the hospital and go, I will return home by myself. Don't worry about me, but I was very worried about Julie's health. So I finished my work quickly and came back home. But when I came home, Julie was not there. I got worried. I called Julie and found out that she's still in the hospital, which was very surprising for me. She was in the hospital for 2 hours because whenever I took Julie to the hospital, the doctor would examine the Julie within half an hour and discharge us. But this time it was too much time. I was very worried about my wife. I took out the car and went to pick my wife from the hospital. When I reached the hospital, I was shocked to see that the doctor was not in his room. I asked the nurse about the doctor and my wife. She said the doctor checked her up in another room in detail. She had a sarcastic smile on her face and she said this to me and left. So I got ordered because I was seriously offended for the doctor to take her to another room. But when I used to take my wife to the hospital myself, the doctor used to examine her in front of me and in front of a nurse. But this time my wife was taken to a separate room where nobody was presented. This was disturbing me a lot. I waited for them for like 10 minutes. The door of the room opened. When my wife came out of the room, she was shocked to see me in front of her. Her face turned yellow as if she had done something wrong. And I got to know she must be very upset. I could clearly see the worry on her face. My wife asked me in a trembling voice that what am I doing here? I was about to give her an answer when the doctor came out of the room and said to my wife that I examined you very well. I'm sure that with this medicine, you will be completely cured and you will not need to come to me again. I heard this and without saying anything, took my wife's hand and brought her back home. I went to my room. I was thinking about today's incident all night. Sometimes I used to say to myself, no, the things I'm thinking about my wife are wrong. I should not doubt about it, but sometimes I started doubting my wife. Strange questions and answers were running in my mind and bothered me. Then the next day when I woke up, I realized that Julie's attitude toward me had not changed at all. She was loving me the way she used to and taking care of me. I explained to myself and thought that no, these things I'm thinking about my wife was wrong and forgot about yesterday's incident. And I take it as my illusion and explain to myself that my wife loves me very much. After a few days, Julie's condition was getting worse again. Next, I took her to the hospital. But this time I thought I won't take her to that doctor again. Julie insisted to me that she should go to the same doctor, but I refused and forced her to another doctor. Julie got angry with me on this matter that I was not taking her to that doctor, and her behavior changed. She was very harsh with me, fighted me with over small things. I feel like her love for me has diminished, her attitude for me has changed. But what was bothering me even more was that her attitude towards a daughter had also changed. That she doesn't care about our daughter at all. And we often quarreled over this. Then another thing started bothering me was that she was not at home much whenever I came back home after finishing my work. She was not there. And when I called her, she did not pick up my phone. Then when she came back home, I asked her, "Where did you go?" She did not give me any specific answer, which feel me. I did not have any importance in her life. During these days when she was sick, she did not take care of our daughter. So I hired a maid to help her. But when she was well, she still did not take care of her. The maid took care of my daughter the whole day. One night, a very strange thing happened. I suddenly opened my eyes and saw that my wife was not in the room. She was talking to someone on the phone. When I asked her who she was talking to, at late night, she replied me, she was talking to one of her friends. When I asked her something more about her friend, she did not listen to me and went to the room and slept. Due to this attitude of my wife, we both were getting distant from each other. One day, I was going through some of my important stuff in my closet and I found something that made my eyes pop. It was a photo of my wife's college days. My wife and the same doctor were in the photo. I got to know why my wife used to insist me to go to this doctor. I realized my wife and the doctor already knew each other, and looking at their picture, it seemed that they might even like each other. Once I asked my wife long ago if she ever liked any other boy before me. But she still flatly denied me and said, "I never liked any boy before you." But then I realized that she was lying to me. After seeing that picture, I did not ask my wife anything. But at the next night, when we were both lying in bed, I started asking my wife about her college days and she started telling me about her college days. She seemed very happy while telling about her college. Then during conversation, I asked her, "Did you ever met any of your college friends?" After finishing college? She flatly denied me and said my college was in another city. When I finished my college, my parents shifted to this city. I never met any of my college friends again, and she was flat out lying to me. And at the same night I opened my eyes and saw that my wife was not in bed. This time, I acted very smartly and saw my wife was talking on the phone with someone outside the room. I listened to her secretly, and now she was talking to the same doctor. While I listened to her words, the ground came out from under my feet because my wife was calling him home to meet her in my absence, telling him when my husband goes to work. "So you come to my house." Hearing these things, I started hating my wife because she was cheating on me. I decided to catch my wife red-handed. So I did not ask anything to her and went back to my bed. The next morning, I woke up as usual, got ready and went to work. But I started waiting for the doctor to come near my house. 2 hours later, after I left house, the doctor came to my house. After some time finding an opportunity, I entered my house. I heard something from the above portion of my house. Slowly went upstairs, and when I opened the door, I caught them red-handed. Seeing that the ground came out from under my feet, I started to hate my wife for some time. I lost my senses and hated my wife so much. Even my heart was dying to kill her. I wasted no time, divorced her and kicked her out of my house. When I divorced my wife, after a month, my wife married this doctor. They both started living happily, and I started living with my daughter. We both are very happy. I don't need any women anymore in my life. I could never trust any woman again. 10 years have passed since that incident, but I'm very happy with my daughter. She's growing up with each passing day, and she cures me a lot. I love my daughter very much, and she loves me very much. My daughter